Good morning students, welcome back to DBMS normalization. As we have started with DBMS normalization, we did first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, and today we are going to start with the Boyce normal form, that is BCNF. BCNF is the advanced version of your third normal form, or you can say it's a 3.5 normal form. Okay, next. Let's introduce with Bcnf. Boyce normal form is also called as Bcnf or 3.5 normal form because it is an upgraded or advanced version of third normal form. Okay, it is more strict version of your third normal form. Now let's say how it is. We'll first have the recap of second normal form. Second normal form was saying that it should be in a first normal form. There should not be any partial dependency. Means, see student, your table should be in a first normal form. That is the first rule of your second normal form. Then there should not be any partial dependency. What is partial dependency? When primary key is made up of two columns or more columns, then your other attributes of your table or other columns of your table should be dependent on that whole primary key rather than any one of the column which is forming a primary key. So that was the partial dependency. For more details, do watch the video of second normal form. Now we'll have a quick recap of a third normal form. In third normal form, the rule was your table should be in a second normal form. Then there should not be any transitive dependency. I have already explained in detail in the video of third normal form. Transitive dependency means a non-prime attribute, means the column which is not a primary key is dependent on some other column which is also not a primary key. So that is not allowed in your third normal form. So for more details, again I will suggest you to watch the video of third normal form. Now let's check the rule for BCNF. For the table to be in a Boyce normal form, it should follow the following rules. Table is in a BCNF if every functional dependency X derives Y. X is the super key of the table. Okay, means if your column X is deriving column Y, then it should be the super key in the table. Or you can say in other words that X cannot be a non-prime attribute if B is a prime attribute. Okay, now we'll discuss the example. X derives Y means if X is non-prime attribute and B is a prime attribute. Till now we have seen first normal form, second normal form and third normal form. Now we will quickly revise here also. Prime attribute deriving non-prime attribute means functional dependency. Then non-prime attribute is derived by a part of primary key, that was a partial dependency. And non-prime attribute, if it is deriving a non-prime attribute, then it is a transitive dependency. Okay. So in Boyce normal form, the prime attribute is trying to derive the non-prime attribute. Okay, means some column which is a primary key is trying to derive the non-prime attribute. So that is a violation of your Boyce normal form. Let's take an example, students. Now suppose here I have a college table with three columns, that is student ID, subject and professor. Okay. Now here for each subject the professor is assigned. Okay. Means a student ID 1 who is learning Java or who has obtained Java, and Mr. Java is the professor who is teaching him this subject. Here you can observe one important point, that there can be multiple professor for teaching the one subject. Okay. Here you can observe, students, Mr. Java who is teaching student ID 1 the subject Java. Here we have Mr. Java 2 who is teaching again a Java in some other class or for some other students. So Mr. Java is teaching Java. At the same time Mr. Java 2 is also teaching Java. Means this subject Java is taught by more than one professor. Okay. And student ID and subject together forming a primary key. Means if I ask you Mr. Java, okay, then you will be telling me that one and Java, that is student ID 1 who has obtained the subject Java and he is learning from Mr. Java, means Professor Java is teaching him. So student ID and subject together forming a primary key. Now we can observe here, students, this table satisfy the first normal form. What were the rules of first normal form? There should be no multiple value in a one column, means the value should be atomic, so that is being followed here. Then there is no two column with same name, so the table is in a first normal form. Okay, now this table also satisfies second normal form, as there is no partial dependency, means this professor alone not dependent on either or subject or on student id. Professor is dependent on both student id and subject. Okay, that means this table is in first normal form, and if there is no partial dependency, that means this table is in a second normal form also. Then this table also satisfies the third normal form, because there is no transitive dependency, students. Okay, now here if you look closely at this part, that is professor and subject, okay, means here you can say that professor can lead us to subject, and subject is a part of primary key. Means if you want to know the subject is taught by whom, you are dependent on professor, and professor is a non-prime attribute, where subject is a part of prime attribute. Means here subject is derived by the professor, which is a non-prime attribute. Non-super key can find the primary key here, so this is not allowed here. They show the dependency of subject on professor, and hence this table is not in a Boyce normal form. Means your prime attribute or your primary key is dependent on some other column, which is a not a primary key or not a super key. Okay, this is the violation of Bcnf. Now let's check how to solve this problem. Okay, here again we are going to divide the original table into two. So the college table that was appearing on the previous slide, I have divided it into two, that is student table and professor table. Okay, student table will contain only student ID and professor ID, means student ID 1 to this student which professor is teaching, that ID will be provided here. And in a professor table there will be a professor ID, there will be a professor name and the subject name. Okay, means which professor is teaching which subject. So this is how we have achieved the Bcnf normal form. Okay, now our table satisfies the Bcnf, students. With this we have completed the first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, and now Boyce normal form. Go through all these videos, students. Try to understand these examples, and next in video we will see the next normal form, that is the fourth normal form. Thank you, students.